Hey everybody, Drew here from Pella Cars. Super excited to bring you guys this gorgeous 2014 Toyota Camry SE. It's got 155,200 and I think 16 miles on it, all put on by one very, very loving owner. They were never in a wreck. They took extremely good care of it, and we're going to point out all the little signs of that in this video. It's from Maryland, so if you look underneath, little spoiler, and we'll get into more about that later. This car is extremely rust-free underneath, and of course rust-free on the exterior, and that's because the part of Maryland it's from gets about 15 inches of snow per year versus our 120 inches per year here in Rochester. They get about 160 hours of sunshine per month there in the winter versus our 75 to 80 hours of sunshine. So this car has had a wonderful past. They spared no expense taking care of it. Again, we'll get into that, but the real purpose of this video is to show you the entire car all the way around, inside, outside, underneath, and point out the flaws that would not jump out in photographs, as well as talk to you about some of the awesome features it has. So first and foremost, we'll start on the front bumper here. This actually, I suppose it's not a bad thing. And by the way, I apologize for the weather, folks. It is going to be 3 straight days of 100% chance of rain and just nasty Rochester weather. So it's, like I said, it's a good thing the front has some, what I call like road rash on it. And that's from, going 70 miles per hour with the grittiness from the road splashing up on it. Well, that means it was a highway car, which means it has a lot less wear and tear than, a car that was driven in the city. So it's got that going on a little bit up front, little crack in the bumper there where they bumped into something, and these little stone chips here and here. Again, in extremely, extremely good condition for a 12-year-old car. This here is actually, excuse me, that's tar. That'll come off. That's like splattered up from the road where they put those little dark black lines filling the cracks. We'll get that off for you. This is one of the things that speaks volumes about the way this car was taken care of. These are in the top 15% most expensive tire you could buy in this size, and at about 85% remaining tread. Check the description on the website because we actually measure them with a special tool and give you the exact percentages of remaining tread for each of the 4 tires. But the fact that after having this car for almost 12 years, they made this kind of an investment, usually people spend less toward the end of the time they own a car, not, consistent with always giving it the best. So this just says volumes about a car. By the way, it also had, its oil change is current. It's like in the middle, and it's totally full. So that's a really good indication that, that they just really took care of this car. When they come in with, bald tires, 3 different brands, and an oil change that's 1,000 miles past due, we don't keep them. We send them to auction. So this is an example of a very well cared for car. As you see here, the wheels are extremely clean. They only have minor staining on the inside close to this surface here. Rims tend to stain. They're beautiful wheels, special for the SE edition. So one thing I'll show you too, we're going to skip ahead then go back. The pinstripe here, you'll notice it's faded in the back of the car, but not the front. And that's a really good indication that this car was parked in the same spot every day. It's the same thing on the other side. And that it's faded more in the back probably because it was like under a carport and that's where the sun got it. Or maybe, they had a tree, who knows. But nevertheless, the pinstripe is more faded in the back of the car. There are some little door dings here, like 1, 2, 3 of them. Another indication that it was in the same spot a lot because it's the same ding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. They're very small, barely noticeable unless you're right up on them, as you can see here. But when I do get right up on them, that's the purpose of this video, because we don't want you to be surprised or disappointed when you get here, and we certainly don't want you to be surprised or disappointed if the car comes to you, because we do ship about 35% of our cars out of state to the end user. So, keep that in mind. So again, tires are excellent. These still have their little fuzzies on them. Coming along the back, it's very difficult to see, but I can show you right where the roof, see that dark line there, where the roof, right here. You see those light scratches? I'm going to move my hand out of the way for the focus. There's light scratches there, and then there's the same thing going on there. They're very light, and I believe what they are was, with the best intentions, this person was trying to get something off the car and used a rag or something, and you have to be very careful when you do that to not use a dry rag and not use a dirty one or one that's made out of the wrong material, because this is what happens. You'll only see it when the car is perfectly clean on a sunny day. So if you're a Rochester resident, you won't worry about that until like June. But it does show up on a perfectly clean car on a sunny day. So I just wanted you to know about that. The real treat is underneath. Again, Maryland, where this car is from, gets if I didn't already mention, they get about 15 inches of snow per year versus 120 here in Rochester. And more importantly, they get almost double the sunshine throughout the winter than we do. So instead of always being damp and wet and covered in salt, this car spent its winters in very, very little snow and in the sunshine. So that's why it's not all rusty under there. These are really, really, really good cars. But if they're in the Rochester winters for years and years and rust out, of course they can't last. But one like this that hasn't been exposed to it will last much longer because of that. So not much to speak of on this side of the car. There's only some very light scratches like that one. And that's perfect timing to go inside the car, which is where the real treat is. There's only a little bit of wear. You could see this mark here where the seat was constantly wrinkled. There's only that mark there and a little bit of discoloration in this light fabric. I don't know what Toyota was thinking because that's very, very light. I'm not sure if you could tell in the video, and on the easier side to stain, but just absolutely beautiful. There's a little wear on the steering wheel. You could tell they always had their hand there. But other than that, I mean, look at the interior of this car. It is just absolutely gorgeous. Look at the carpets. Speaking of carpets, we'll skip ahead here so I don't forget to show you as the weather works against me. The floor mats. This is the driver's side floor mat. Look at the condition. That's the front driver. This is the front passenger. Look at the condition. Even the trunk mat, just with that little stain right there. Just absolutely beautiful. You know, you could tell this was a mature, responsibly owned vehicle. One owner for 12 years. Passenger seat is as close to perfect as you're gonna get. Back seat is the old cliche, looks like it wasn't even used, except actually I take that back. There's a little stain right there, and a little discoloration right there. But that's about it. The floors in this are immaculate. And these carpets, the black carpets on 2012 and newer Camrys, really, really show dirt compared to older Camry interiors. So for how clean that is, it's very, very impressive. We'll go over and look at the passenger side real quick before we take it for a ride, which is another highlight of these videos. You get to see the car at highway speeds. Not that you could feel it, but we'll take it up to highway speeds and show you as much as possible. So if you want to buy this car online, you can confidently do so. Here, let's get in here where it's dry and warm. Okay, so one of the first things I'll tell you about the inside of this car, it has this infotainment system, which is arguably dated. It has navigation, and there's an SD card here where you can update that navigation. But I think 12 years later, most people rely on their smartphone, not this, but it is very functional. The stereo in this thing is absolutely awesome, and this is just a delight to have. Of course, it has all steering wheel controls. These paddle shifters, I'll show you how those work. You could actually shift the transmission from these, and I'll show you that when we drive, because it's the best paddle shift system I've ever seen in a car, and that even includes, I haven't even driven a luxury car or a sports car with a better algorithm or programming for their paddle shifters than this. So of course it's automatic. It's got power windows, power locks, cruise control. The key has the built-in buttons to lock and unlock. This car has stability control, by the way, and that the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety stated in 2006 that if every car in the United States had that feature, there would be 10,000 fatalities less per year in single car crashes, meaning people that skid off the road and hit something. And that feature is standard in this car. It is a massive, massive breakthrough in safety. And by the way, speaking of safety, this car has an airbag here for the driver's face, there for the passenger's face, underneath for the passenger's knees, underneath for the driver's knees. All four seats have something that come out of the bolster, an airbag that comes out of the bolster to protect hips and ribs from the door. So that's on 8 airbags. And we're on number 9 and number 10 that come down from the rails to protect all 4 window passengers' heads from the glass. So this car actually has a system that is an absolute breakthrough to make sure you don't go off the road and crash. And then it has 10 airbags to protect you if, God forbid you do. So just absolutely wonderful. I'm sure you noticed if you looked at the photos that it has a moonroof. And I think that's all that really jumps out at me. Of course, this has Bluetooth streaming audio, which everybody loves. A little bit about the mechanicals. The powertrain in this car is exquisite. Toyota absolutely nailed it. It has a 2.5 liter dual variable valve timing. So all 16 valves are intelligent in this car. Where it really shines is its 6-speed automatic transmission. Again, Toyota just hit the absolute jackpot with this combination, because as I pull out onto the road here, you'll see, yeah, I'm going to accelerate kind of almost aggressively, way more so than I normally would. And as you see, the RPMs, we're picking up speed, and the RPMs aren't even coming near 3,000 RPMs. It's shifting around 2,700 RPMs, and I'm picking up speed much faster than I feel like I would personally normally need to. We're already going 50 miles per hour, and I don't think the thing went over 2,700 RPMs. We're at 55, and now we're staying under 2,000 RPMs. So that's where you're gonna get, by the way, hand off the wheel, perfectly straight. We're going 60, perfectly straight. I'm gonna get on the brakes. No shakes, no shimmies, no rattles, no drama. You know, by keeping those RPMs low, that's where you get not only gas mileage, that's huge for saving on gas, but that's also what makes this car feel so refined. You know, older 4-cylinders that had single variable valve timing or none at all, the engine had to wind up to, you know, 3,500, 4,000 RPMs to make any real power. Well, with the dual variable valve timing, it makes its power much lower in the RPMs, much lower numbers on the tachometer. And with the 6-speed automatic, it has 6 gears to choose from to keep it in its ideal place without having to wind it up too far and then drop it down too low. So say your optimal power is between 2,000 and 3,000 RPMs. This glorious 6-speed automatic keeps this amazing engine in its optimal you know, range for RPMs. So, you know, again, I'm not an aggressive driver, but I'll take off a little faster than normal. As you see, it just barely touched 3,000 RPMs there. You can see how fast we're picking up speed. Let's see, there we go. Just absolutely a glorious combination. We're going again, highway speed. My hands, let me straighten up here. We got another car. Highway speed, I'm gonna get in the middle. Highway speed, hand off the wheel. Just absolutely glorious. This car drives wonderfully. Now, I wanted to show you guys too, which is gonna be really hard with one hand. Thankfully, we're, you know, in a place that's kind of peaceful and quiet. But when I downshift, if you look here, when I downshift with the paddles over here, I don't have to put it into, I'm gonna stop. I don't have to put it into the sport mode to do that. If I'm in drive and I hit the paddle shifter, it'll downshift me if I'm moving, of course. And then I can upshift as well over here. So go from like 3rd gear to 4th, you know, to 5th to 6th, whatever. But if I hit this a whole bunch of times and go to 6th, it can tell that I no longer wanna be in that mode and puts me back in just plain old drive. So just the fact that you don't have to shift this thing over into S, and you could get the car to go into sport mode or select mode with the paddle shifters and then back into drive with the paddle shifters is one of the most thoughtful things I've ever seen a car company do with that feature, which is for most people, they're never going to touch that. But you know, if you've got a car, you know, say you've got, you know, 4 people in the car, all their luggage in the trunk and a roof rack, and you're going through the mountains in like West Virginia, you might want to continuously choose your own gear. But if you know, your train of thought goes somewhere else and you don't, you know, you stop manually shifting it, it'll go back, essentially it'll go back into drive on its own, and it's just an absolutely marvelous system. So we might as well do one more highway run. If you've seen, or excuse me, highway speed run, if you've seen enough and you want to buy this car, you can absolutely do so through the website, www.pellacars.com, or just give us a call, 585-771-0111. We would love to meet you in person though and have you come test drive, hopefully on a better weather day. But as you see, we're out in the country here, not far from Rochester. This car is in Western New York, by the way, not far from Rochester, New York. We're in Brockport. You can come test drive it in a nice, quiet, safe setting. And, you know, we'd love to meet you and have you do that in person. If this video was helpful for your car shopping in general and you want to give it a thumbs up, we really appreciate that. It helps our business grow on YouTube. And of course, if you want to see more videos like this one, you can do so by subscribing to this channel and turning on notifications. I am going to give you guys, since we stayed under 3,000 RPMs intentionally, I'm going to give you guys a, you know, a more aggressive takeoff here, just to show you. So there you go. So that's 4,000 RPMs. This is way faster than I would ever, I mean, I wouldn't even merge on an expressway like this. But as you see, even taking off fast, It just doesn't work hard. It's a great combination. So anyways, I'm Drew. Thank you so much for your time and hope to meet you soon. Take care. Bye.